Hello, friends, and welcome to The Artificial Brain, the podcast that explores the frontiers of artificial intelligence, one fascinating idea at a time. I'm your host, Shining. From groundbreaking models to the big questions about our future, we're here to make sense of it all, clearly, honestly, and without the hype. Ready to expand your mind? Let's dive in. What is good, everyone, and welcome back to The Artificial Brain. Today we are getting into the nitty-gritty of what is arguably the most valuable skill set of the 21st century. I am talking about prompt engineering mastery. And look, I know what you are thinking. Is this real? Is it just typing words into a box until the AI gives you what you want? Or is it a legit career path paying people up to $375,000 a year?
And his name is John C.
That is right, $375K. No cap. So we are going to figure out exactly how to level up from a casual user to a full-blown AI whisperer. We are going to explore the history, the evolution, and the advanced techniques that will make you look like a wizard. It is going to be wild. First, let's take a trip down memory lane, because to understand where we are going, we have to understand where we came from. Back in the day, interacting with computers was all about rigid codes and command lines. You had to know exactly what to type or you got nothing. But then the AI boom happened. Specifically, after ChatGPT dropped in 2022, the game changed completely. Suddenly, we were not just coding, we were having conversations. But at first, nobody knew what they were doing. It was the Wild West. It was total trial and error. You would type something vague like write a story and get a generic mess, or you would type something way too complex and the AI would hallucinate like crazy. But let's get into the science of it.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
The history and evolution of prompt engineering is actually fascinating. We moved from simple rule-based systems to these massive state-of-the-art large language models we have today. In the early days, it was basically just craft. It was an artful way of speaking AI that combined curiosity and intuition. People were just experimenting with phrasing to see if they could coax better outputs out of the models. But fast forward to 2025, and it has become a core enterprise skill. We are not just guessing anymore, we are using structured inputs to guide AI through complex reasoning. It shifted from keyword-based prompts to these intricate multi-step prompts. It is a whole discipline now. So what is prompt engineering really? If we look at the research specifically from IBM and the Frontiers Journal, they define it as the process of writing, refining, and optimizing inputs to encourage generative AI systems to create specific, high-quality outputs. But I like to think of it as being a translator for a super smart alien. The alien knows everything about the universe, but it does not know what you want right this second unless you give it the exact coordinates. You have to articulate the problem, the context, and the constraints clearly. If you just say, fix my code, you are going to get a mediocre result. But if you say, act as a senior Python developer with 10 years of experience, here is my code, it is throwing an index error, please review it, explain the bug, and provide a refactored solution with comments, you are going to get gold.
Hey, that's pretty good.
This skill is essential for personal and professional learning. It is not just for tech bros anymore, it is for everyone. But let's be real, most people are still stuck in beginner mode. They use zero-shot prompting. That is where you just ask the question without any examples. Write a poem about a cat. That is zero-shot. It works, but it is basic. Then you have one-shot or few-shot prompting. This is where you give the model examples to show it exactly what you want. You might say, here is a poem about a dog in the style of Shakespeare. Now write one about a cat in the same style. That is few-shot. It is game-changing because it helps the model understand the pattern you are looking for. Now, let's talk about the heavy artillery, the techniques that separate the novices from the masters. The big one that everyone needs to know is chain of thought prompting. This is huge. In a groundbreaking study at the 2022 NeurIPS conference, Google researchers found that if you ask the model to explain its reasoning, it performs way better on logic and math problems. Imagine asking an AI to solve a riddle. If you just ask for the answer, it might guess wrong. But if you say, let's think step by step, the model breaks the problem down. It walks through the logic. It shows its work. Chain of thought prompting guides the large language model through reasoning steps. It forces the model to slow down and actually process the information instead of just predicting the next word based on probability. It is wild to think that simply adding the phrase, let's think step by step, can boost accuracy so much. It works because it transforms the task from a simple completion task into a reasoning task. The model generates intermediate steps that lead to the final answer. This is critical for complex problems involving logic, arithmetic, or common sense. But here is an interesting tangent. Why does this actually work? Researchers Hao Yang and Qinghua Zhao probed into this, and they found that when you reverse the reasoning or ask for explanations, it changes the computation path inside the neural network. It is like giving the AI a whiteboard to scribble on before it gives you the final answer. Without chain of thought, the AI is basically guessing based on vibes. With chain of thought, it is actually thinking. This is mind-boggling when you really think about it. We are effectively hacking the cognitive process of a digital brain to get better results. Let me give you a real-world example of how this hits different. Let's say you are trying to plan a trip. A bad prompt would be, plan a trip to Japan. The AI will give you a generic itinerary that might be okay, but probably misses your vibe. A chain of thought prompt would be, I want to plan a 10-day trip to Japan. I love food, I hate crowds, and I have a moderate budget. First, suggest the best cities for foodies. Second, for each city, recommend 3 hidden gem restaurants. Third, create a day-by-day itinerary that minimizes travel time between cities. Explain your reasoning for each choice. See the difference? That second prompt is going to give you a roadmap that actually slaps. Of course, we cannot talk about mastery without addressing the different platforms. Every model has its own personality. For example, Claude from Anthropic really emphasizes safe completion and transparency in reasoning. They guide users to craft ethically aligned instructions. If you are using Claude, you might get better results by being very specific about safety boundaries. On the other hand, if you are using something like GPT-4, you might lean into its creative writing capabilities. The discipline adapts to the individual model's strengths. You have to know your tool. It is like driving a sports car versus a truck. They both get you there, but you have to handle them differently.
Meow.
There is also the concept of reinforcement learning with human feedback. This is the future. The systems are getting better at predicting contextual intent and personalizing the user experience. Basically, the AI is learning from us. The more we prompt it, the better it gets at understanding what we mean, even if we are vague. But do not get lazy. The prompt engineering of the future is going to be about designing systems that can interpret our messy human thoughts and turn them into structured actions. We are moving toward a future where prompt engineering powers autonomous agents. Imagine telling your AI, launch my startup, and it goes off and does the market research, builds the website, and drafts the pitch deck. That is the level we are headed toward. Oh, wait, hold up. That sounds a little scary, right? Like, are we just going to be obsolete?
Bruh.
Some people say prompt engineering is a dying art because models are getting too smart. But I am here to tell you that is a take that belongs in the coffin dance. Prompt engineering is not dying. It is evolving. As models get more powerful, the complexity of the problems we solve with them increases. We will always need humans to provide the context, the ethics, and the creative direction. The machine is the engine, but the prompt engineer is the driver. You are not out of a job, you are just upgrading from driving a go-kart to piloting a mecha. So how do you actually master this? If you want to go from zero to hero, there is actually a complete roadmap to mastering prompt engineering in 3 months. Courses on Udemy and Upskillist are popping up everywhere promising to teach you these skills. Some offer 250 plus productive prompts that you can just steal. That is a great way to start. You copy a prompt, see how it works, and then tweak it. It is like learning guitar by playing Nirvana songs. Eventually, you write your own riffs. First point on your roadmap is to learn the basics. Understand zero shot and few shot. Second point is to master chain of thought. Seriously, this is non-negotiable. Third point is to learn advanced techniques like role-playing and constraint generation. This is where you tell the AI, you are a cynical history professor, or do not use the letter E in your response. It sounds silly, but these constraints force the model to access parts of its training data it might otherwise ignore. Fourth point is to iterate. Prompt engineering is a loop. You type, you get a result, you refine. It is low-key addictive when you start seeing the quality go up. I want to drop a quick truth bomb about the money. The salaries up to $375,000 are real, but they are usually for people who are doing more than just writing prompts. They are system architects. They are integrating AI into enterprise workflows. They are designing the strategies that use AI to scale businesses. So do not expect to get paid six figures just because you know how to ask ChatGPT to write a recipe for lasagna. You need to understand the underlying technology, the limitations, and the ethical implications. You need to be the person who can say, yes, we can use AI for this, but here is how we do it safely and efficiently.
Emotional damage!
Speaking of safety, let's talk about the shady side of things. We have to be careful about what we ask these models. Prompt injection is a real thing. Bad actors can try to trick the model into ignoring its safety guidelines. As a master prompt engineer, part of your job is defense. You need to know how to prompt the model to be secure and to refuse malicious instructions. It is like being a bouncer for the club that is inside the AI's brain. You have to know who to let in and who to keep out. Ethical considerations are paramount. We want an inclusive future for AI, not a chaotic one. Let's recap some key takeaways, because I know I just threw a lot at you. First, prompt engineering has evolved from a fun party trick to a serious business discipline. It is the foundation for scaling AI in the real world. Second, stop using basic zero-shot prompts for everything. Give the AI examples, give it context. Third, use chain of thought. Make the AI show its work. It dramatically improves reasoning. Fourth, remember that different models need different approaches. What works for Claude might not work for GPT-4. And finally, keep learning. The field is moving faster than a cartoon character running away from a boulder. One last thing before we bounce. Do not get discouraged if your prompts do not work perfectly the first time. Even the pros have to iterate. I once tried to get an AI to write a rap song about quantum physics and it rhymed quark with New York.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
It was a disaster, but I refined the prompt, I gave it some examples of scientific rhyming schemes, and eventually it produced a banger. It is all about persistence. You are literally learning to speak a new language, the language of the artificial brain.
Phone face down, but I still feel it buzz. All these scenes from today playing back just because. Keys on the table, coat on the chair. Your laughter in the hall, still hanging in the air. Roll the credits on the long, long day.
That is it for today's deep dive into prompt engineering mastery. I hope you feel ready to go out there and talk to some robots like a pro. Remember, the future is not just happening to us, we are prompting it into existence. Stay curious, keep experimenting, and do not forget to use those chain of thought prompts. For real, they change everything. This has been The Artificial Brain. I am your host Shining, signing off. Catch you in the next one.